Head Retail Training of Titan Company Limited, and my ECM, also chapter members and all participants for this wonderful evening session. So as he rightly said, this Corona, everything is become virtual mode now. That front, this 8th consecutive months, we are doing this virtual program. The topic very relevant to today's contest, very much relevant to this today's contest. And this topic, in the sense, since Corona has taught a lot of lesson to us, first experience for everyone. Now we could have different mindset, and it's all learning, I could say. Everything become new. We never expect that mask business, soap oil business pick up so, vibrantly. So that way, all of a sudden, how it has boomed that market. So that way, which sector, what time it will pick up, nobody knows. So now this SWOT analysis, normally what we used to do, we have to do once again now, post-Corona, what is our SWOT analysis score. So that way we have to set our, where we stand and how to drive our business. And there is a scope for everything. And whatever the pending order is there in the pipeline, including the automobile sector, everything now we started seeing the progress. So that way, lot of potential we are awaiting. Of late, we are getting the news from China that orders are coming to India nowadays. That front, Tata Group also has come out with a very mega project in Osu. That's what, of late we are getting the news from the various channel. So it's all showing various positive thought and how to refresh ourselves and how to motivate ourselves. And it's a new way to look at it ultimately. So that way, this session is going to throw a lot of insight about this topic. I request each one of you make it more attentive. And at this point of time, I want to just touch upon about our drive, what we have launched about the new membership drive for our chapter. As you all know, that Osu chapter is a very vibrant chapter all these years. That front, we just taken this initiative this December month. With the support of headquarters, we availed some 20% discount in the membership fee also. That front, I request each one of you to support this drive so that we can increase our membership, from now 275 number what we have. So we want to reach to another 200 plus. So that way, I look forward to everyone's support. And as I told you, please make it more participative. And whatever query you have, you please post your query in the chat box so that at the end of the program, we request our speaker to answer to those queries. So once again, my warm welcome to everyone. I hope you will enjoy this session. Thank you. Over to Anusha.
Thank you so much, Murthy sir. We will now have the code of conduct, which will be read out by Mr. Bharatraj Singh. It gives me great pleasure for me to invite Mr. Bharatraj Singh because he also happens to be an IIM alumni with nearly a decade of experience as an HR professional around large companies and PSUs. So, Mr. Bharatraj Singh, please, I invite you.
Sure. Thanks, Anusha. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for a welcome. Anusha, can you please share that?
Yes, please. I'm just...
request everybody to unmute yourself and please repeat our code of conduct. I will always strive to meet.
I will always strive to meet
the highest evolving standards.
The highest evolving standards.
Of competence.
Of competence.
In the profession.
In the profession.
And add value.
And add value.
To organizational success.
To organizational success.
I will deal with all stakeholders.
I'll deal with all stakeholders.
With utmost integrity.
with utmost integrity
and create an environment
and create an environment
of trust
of trust
leading to ethical success
leading to ethical success
of my organization.
of my organization.
I will ensure that
I
I'll
will
ensure that
I'm always reliable
I'm always reliable
and consistent
and consistent
in all my actions
in
in
all
all my
by accepting responsibility
by accepting responsibility
for my decisions
for my decisions
and actions,
and actions,
thereby
thereby
creating credibility for my profession
creating credibility for my profession and
and
myself.
myself. Yep.
and
I will
myself.
be objective
I'll
I
be
will be
objective
objective
in all my actions
in
in
all
all
my
my
actions
and decisions
and
decisions
and foster fairness with firmness.
and
and foster fairness
firmness.
and fairness.
I will conduct myself
I
I'll
will
conduct myself
in a way that
in a way that
facilitates growth and development
facilitates growth
and development
and development
of all those
of all those
I'm responsible for.
I'm responsible for.
I will strive to be a role model
I'll strive to be a role model
for all others
for all others
others
and champion exemplary practice
and
and champion exemplary practice
of the HR profession.
of the HR profession.
I will respect the rights of privacy,
I will respect the rights of privacy,
will not use my position
will not
use my position
for personal gains,
for personal gains
and ensure that
and ensure that
there is no conflict of interest
there's no conflict of interest
in what I do
in what I do
with any of my stakeholders.
with any of my stakeholders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Nisha.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. I would now request the lead organizer, Mr. Shankarji, who's also the Vice President of the Hosur chapter, to introduce the speaker for the day before we proceed with the session.
Thank you. I am pleased to introduce Mr. Sabharatnam, who is fondly called as Ratnam by all his friends and colleagues. He is currently the head retail training of Titan Company Ltd, cutting across all divisions. He has got around 24 years of experience in various fields, starting from regional business and marketing, etc. And the past 5 years, he has been with the HR team, heading the retail training. He is a postgraduate basically from of economics, and he also holds a certificate on business management from XLRI Jamshedpur and a PG diploma from ISTD New Delhi. While he was in marketing of watches for about 3 years plus, now he was instrumental in launching the Zoop watches, which is meant for the children. He played a very key role in rolling out that Zoop watch, and he is also a lead assessor under the Tata Business Excellence Model, which we shortly call as TBEM, and he has groomed many internal members of the TBEM, apart from himself a lead assessor. And he is settled at Bangalore at present. He has got a very nice family. His wife is a chartered accountant, and he has got a daughter and son. They are respectively 12 and 9 years old. Ratnam is very active in marathon, and always he gives lot of focus on his fitness. If I keep on telling his profile, I think it will take more and more time. With this, I would like to stop, and I am very thankful for Ratnam for accepting our invite. Thank you very much. Over to Anusha.
Thank you so much, sir. I see that the two of you share a very good camaraderie, being colleagues in title. I would now request our speaker, Mr. Sabharatnam Narayanan, to actually take the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you, Mr. Moti. Thank you, Shankar, for the introduction. In fact, Anusha, you're right. We do share a great camaraderie between the two of us. And Shankar has been, more like a friend and philosopher and guide for me. And he just sits, a few yards away from my seat. And we greet each other, and we also talk, and have personal moments with each other as well. So that's how it has been. And I'm quite surprised that you could read, our interactions through the body language that you could see. Really thank you to NHRD Hosur for having given me this opportunity to share our practices with the rest of the fraternity. If I have to talk about the business landscape, I think like what Mr. Moti was talking, it has changed fundamentally. Tomorrow's environment will be different, but no less rich in possibilities, especially for those who are very well prepared. And it is interestingly clear that the current downturn is fundamentally different from recessions of recent decades. If we have to talk about recession, I remember, what Harish Bhatt had said to me. And for those of you who don't know who Harish Bhatt is, he was my CEO when I was in the marketing team. And currently he's the brand custodian of the Tata Group. And he was very categoric in his approach. He said that at a time when organizations will cut cost and cut corners, it's very important for us to stay in touch with our customers. And it was so true, because it was his thought that we should not cut down on our advertising expenses. And we continue to remain engaged with our customers. And that really benefited us hugely, because I remember the period when I was the regional business head for South. From 2010 to 2012, I think we really reaped the benefits of huge demand coming in from our customers, because they not only liked our products, they continuously engaged with us. And that was a great, great period. And the investment actually started during the recession. We are currently experiencing, not merely another turn of the business cycle, but a restructuring of the economic order. For some organizations, near-term survival is the only agenda item. Others, though, are peering through the fog of uncertainty, thinking about how to position themselves once this crisis has passed and things return to normal. The question is, what will normal look like? And while no one can say how long the crisis will last, what we find on the other side will not look like the normal of recent years. The new normal will be shaped by a confluence of powerful forces, some arising directly from the financial crisis and some that were at work long before it began. Obviously, there will be significantly less financial leverage in the system, but it is clear that the future will reveal significantly low levels of leverage at higher prices for risk than we had come to expect. Business models that rely on high leverage will suffer reduced returns. That's what we have been seeing so far. And companies that boost returns to equity the old-fashioned way through real productivity gains will be rewarded. In order to clarify that point, I just want to say that if you look at Titan, we have always been focused around our customers. And even during the crisis period, it was our endeavor and effort, to remain attached to our customers. We not only reached out to them, but also engaged, with them on their respective needs, because everybody needed help at this point in time. We reached out. We also entertained them. In fact, through social media, we managed to conduct musical programs for our customers. We celebrated the various festivals that came our way. We missed those festivals and our businesses in the month of April and May, but it did not, deter our approach to stick with certain ideals and values that we preach in Titan. If you look at the vision of Titan, we talk about elevating experiences for our customer. And that is so important, and that came to life, when the crisis hit. So we put our thinking hats and we said that let's see what we can do in the space of learning and development. And that was the time when we formed CFTs within the organization. We had folks from all across coming together as a team. And we brainstormed and we said that let's look at retail and training processes during the new normal. So I'll be sharing my screen now, and I'll be talking about a few things that we did in order to get to the new normal and address the challenges that the new normal was throwing at us. Just give me a second to share my screen. I think I have my screen here. I'll share that. Yes. Okay. So we were talking about retail capability for elevating customer experience. And the question that we were, immersed in was, how will learning look in the post-COVID-19 world? We thought of taking an approach which involved investigation, insighting, and identification. And in the process of investigation, we chose to use primary and secondary data. So there were, approaches to businesses, processes to businesses, priorities for the businesses, which were taken into consideration. So we spoke to all the business heads, both inside and outside. We wanted an inside in and an outside, in perspective. And that's what we wanted to build during the process. We also looked at retail employees and the attitude that they possess and the capability that they have at this point in time and the readiness to return to their respective jobs. That was very, very important for us. Similarly, customers and the likely customer behavior and the expectations from our customers. That was so important, and we were trying to understand that as well. We also looked at industry trends, insights from consultants, etc. And we spoke to many consultants. We also, attended many seminars, and each of those seminars had a new perspective and a new thought process, which we could, put into our area of work constructively. At that point in time, it was a lockdown which was there for about 1.5 months. So that experience also helped us in understanding what are the new things that we could do to shape up or transform our department. The insights that we gathered were, more consolidated and views in the space of needs, priorities, challenges, and opportunities. We also looked at the scenarios. We built in 3 scenarios, which included the favorable outcomes, the mixed outcomes, the unfavorable outcomes. So we looked at both the pluses and minuses that was possible in that space. And the identification also happened. So we looked at the new priorities for the retail capability building. We also looked at short-term, mid-term, long-term. And then we firmed up a new approach, and I will be briefly discussing about that as to how we came about doing that. Before moving, to my next slide, I just want to tell you guys one thing. last year was the year when we wanted to really make our web-based sessions zero, or completely, immobilize the way in which we conduct webinars, etc. That was the thought process with which we got into. And we took a lot of pride in mentioning that in our KRAs, that the number of sessions that we did on web was zero. That was something that was so remarkable when we spoke about that, because the most impactful sessions were the ones where you go, you talk. It used to be the on-the-job training that was more fruitful for all our participants. But come the new crisis, we had to resort to the virtual mode, and it became more and more prudent for us to work on the virtual mode, and that required new capabilities for all our retail trainers as well. And I will touch upon those things as we move along, because now that has become the new normal for us. Our approach for gathering and drawing insights. So if you look at some of the things that we did, we looked at the impact of COVID-19 on consumer behavior and customer experience through secondary research. We also sought inputs from our regional business heads, regional business managers, area business managers, franchisees, to understand their perspective. We also looked at inputs from store employees, like what I was talking about, and conversation with other retailer organization, consultants, etc. So this was, done to understand the post-COVID customer reality. Because the pre-COVID way of influencing customer experience was very different. The emphasis was on human touch, emotional connect with customers, empathy, understanding of the customer's need, providing personalized experience, consultative selling processes, verbal, and in-person cues, and also leveraging the Tata Trust. So those things became so easy, when it came to a face-to-face interaction. But in the aspect of, a scenario like this, we really had to innovate and think about new ways of reaching out to our customers. So there were new behaviors that were emerging out of customer sentiments that we could see. So from the secondary research, what we saw was customer optimism was on a decline. Many expected income to decline. 75% of Indians were conscious about spending. High share of wallet essentials were the main components on which money was spent. And it still lies there, because no matter what you say, the economy is still in the process of revival. Consumer trust, is more fragile. So we have to be very, very cautious. And we felt that we have to build that trust. We have to talk about safety. And on safety itself, I remember we spent hours and hours together to create modules so that there is a greater understanding amongst our own people and people who are managing the stores, and take extra precaution on every aspect, because if even one person is COVID positive inside the store, then the whole store needs to be shut down. So that was the risk with which we were opening our stores. And all these stores were opening in batches. So there was a huge risk for the company as well. If you look at the structure that we manage, we have close to 1,748 stores across the country. And this cuts across different formats. So we have World of Titan, we have Fast Track, we have Tanishq, we have Soya, we have Mia, we have Caretlin, we have Helios. So, and now we have Tanera stores as well, which are our sari stores. So plenty of stores are opening left, right, and center. And it was important for us to operate in all these stores as well. So we created batches for our stores. We had to, work out new SOPs for our stores. And these are SOPs which were conveyed in very, very easy video formats. Okay, so we had to work on content, and it was rigorous work, which was sitting on our heads for nearly 3 weeks continuously. And our training teams, were busier than ever. And I think we managed to complete whatever we did last year by the end of September this year. So to that extent, the teams have been busy and has been delivering sessions to our people. The new behaviors that we noticed was that 40% of our consumers were switching off to new retailers. They shopped in new websites, and websites, was a new thing. While we were building our omni-channel, we were trying to create, the online interaction for our customers in the space of watches and eyewear. We were not so ready in the space of jewelry. And all of you will be surprised that a lot of jewelry today is bought online. And even during our Akshay Tritiya sales, we realized that people were willing to wait for their jewelry to be delivered even after 3 weeks and 4 weeks of time. So to that extent, they were willing to invest and buy jewelry online. So these were new insights for us. We never knew that customers would indulge in jewelry buying, that too in the online space. So what we had to do was to strengthen our online business for all our categories, and at the same time, educate our people in the field, because that becomes my responsibility to ensure that they are capable enough of handling some of the new requirements that customers have. So we not only build capability in the online space for our people, but also managed to talk about newer areas, which was in the space of video selling, phone selling. And these are things that you will see that we worked upon. So I'll be talking about those as well as we move along. But if you look at customers, they were worried about their safety. They preferred lesser crowded and cleaner places. They were also cautious about visiting malls. Even today, in fact, yesterday when I was discussing with a few mall owners, they were talking about the kind of precaution that customers are taking, and they're not flocking malls the way it used to be earlier on. And I was chatting with the CEO of Malabar yesterday, and he was telling me that the mall stores have taken a big hit. And it was very important for us to understand that sentiment of the customer as well. We were also looking at, the digital transformation, which was a fast forward that needed to happen. And a lot of focus and attention is being built within the organization to build that capability. So if you look at the consumer front, we have a new CRM in place, which is the relationship management tool, which we have procured from Salesforce. That is a very interesting way of knowing your customer, engaging with your customer, and building your strength by analyzing some of the data that you have about your customer. So the primary job of the company became, in the space of data enrichment. We wanted to really ensure that whatever data we have is enriched continuously. So we drove a mission called Daskadam, where we trained our store staff to procure customer data more accurately. And this was done in the space to ensure that we reach out to the customer in the right manner. And that really helped us, because we enriched 96% of our data, and we have 18 million customers who are on record with us buying quite regularly. So that data is definitely a gold mine on which we are sitting, and that will help us in growing our repeat business, and also in enhancing some of the dormant customers who have not come and visited and purchased from us, coming back to us with a lot of vigor and determination. So those are the kind of things that we did. And we also heard that there has to be a lot of focus on care, attention, etc. And we had to, look at reimagining the post-COVID world, economic hard times, cost cutting. The company actually rolled out an initiative called War on Waste. And just last week, when I was having a finance session with my retail folks, I was telling them that, cost is as good as profits, because if you remember the movie Dhoni, where Dhoni talks about, a fielder, and he says that a fielder is extremely productive. He can score even though a batsman or a bowler may not score on a given day, but a fielder will always score. Cost is something like that to business. So if you save cost, you save money, and it adds to your bottom line. And that was a very, very big thing as far as the organization is concerned. They cut down our budgets, and they said that you have to work on limited budgets. So that also gave us new avenues to source some of the subject matter experts within the company. So we reached out to many people who could conduct good sessions for us, and those are the guys who are real practitioners. So though they may not have been trained in the art of facilitation, but it was important to get to the point. And what we designed was Q&A sessions with them, and that was extremely meaningful. So if you make a session like a fireside chat or a discussion of sorts, then it becomes so useful, and it can be so motivating, because one, the leader. Two, that they have achieved and they have the credibility to talk on a subject, and they can really add value to you. So we leverage some of these for our company guys, and that's how we built capabilities for our people. And in all, we looked at some of the industry trends. So if you look at some of the companies mentioned here, these are the companies where we reached out and we discussed. So what we understood was that retail store staff were trained on omni-channel platforms, telecalling, teleordering, video selling, online customer interactions. Remember that these are new skills that we had to work upon, and these are new areas that we had to build. So similarly, supply chain and delivery changes, cluster-based targeting of customers, omni-channel training on supply chain and customer handling. So many of that was in the online space. And also it was important to listen to some of our employees, care for them, because on one hand you can teach, on the other hand they have to take care of themselves, because they were extremely vulnerable. They were facing the crowd, and it was important for us to continuously reiterate the point on keeping their health in order, because that mattered a lot. Our businesses dependent on them. And we were also reaching out to them saying that, you are coming to work in the stores. We are also coming to work in the offices. You can reach out to us for any sort of help. So it was extremely important from our side, to roll out the care aspect. Similarly, we did that for our customers as well. And it was all about agile innovation and capabilities for the changing times that needed to be developed. And we took cues from all these researches that we did, and we built our own structure. We looked at our competencies, and then we dwelled deep into what more could we do in that area for enhancement of learning for our people. Some of the internal voices that we spoke to, led to these changes, and they said that these are changes that could be looked upon. So they were talking about customers inquiring about hygiene, browsing and shortlisting, fewer visits and social distancing, less but increase in the number of serious buyers, people accompanying customers has dropped significantly. So these were cues that were coming to us, and they said that the buyer has become extremely cautious. So in the event of the buyer becoming cautious, what are the things that you can do? One is talk to the buyer saying that, yes, I understand your concern, we are ready. So many of our stores, in fact, made videos for our customers, just to tell them that we are a safe place. You can walk in and you can buy the way you used to buy earlier on. So that was very, very impactful. And coming from our store staff was showing that they were, demonstrating accountability not only for themselves, but for others as well in the whole bargain. It was also important to see, how we interact with our customers. So for customers who were not wanting to come to our stores, we were going to their homes. So we decided that we will go with our products and do a showcasing. So before reaching out to their homes, we were seeking appointment to understand their need on what products are they interested in. So for that, we would do a video call, and there we had to teach our people, how to behave when you are on a video, when you are, talking to a customer with a remote access to the customer. So how you need to dress up, how you need to talk, how will the customer understand, how the product needs to be showcased, and we created zones inside our stores, which were specially lit zones, which allowed the customer to see the product more clearly. And thereafter, when you visited the customer's home, there was more confidence from the customer's side, and he or she landed up selecting a lot more than what they used to. We also extended, the options to the customer through our extended aisle. So we had, plethora of our products which were available in a particular area or zone, and that was put digitally for customers to access. And through that also we could send some of the products to the customer's home. In addition to that, we were, talking to customers, telling them that if you come to the store, probably you may have to wait because of the queues and the social distancing norms. So if you want to leverage some of the, working hours with us, then we will give you a slot. So there was a time frame that was decided with customers. We said that between 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock is the appointment time. We will give you appointments, and you can come and you can see whatever you want to your heart's content. We also used the aisle that I was talking about, which is the digital products in a tab for customers who are sitting idle to browse and buy online while sitting inside the store. So those were the actions that we took for our customers, and that really helped us in building some of the new learning focus areas. And if you look at some of the competencies, we evaluated our competencies in this manner. We said that in the space of behavioral competencies, customer centricity, delivers results, interpersonal effectiveness, building effective teams, they're all, important, and they have been called for, right? But in the space of impacting impact during the COVID-19 space, how is that behavior going to be important, and how the elements are changing, and where do we need to focus? That was very important for us. And this really helped us in shaping up what we need to do during this time. So this is how we, figured out the need for our programs to be designed in a manner in which it addresses these needs. So if you look at customer centricity, we were talking about safety focus, which was higher level of empathy, understanding customers. So we really had programs which, enhanced our, participants' ability to comprehend some of the impending factors which were required from the customer's side. Similarly, we said that the critical areas of focus would be elements, appointment-based, contactless approach, delivery confirmation, more engagement, building insights, building trust and connect at on a human level. So these were important points, and all our trainers were focusing on all these elements to ensure that our people were, well informed about some of these. If you look at the other competencies like delivers result, it was all about speed and accountability, because it was our ability to adapt to the newer challenges and the kind of agility that we are showing to address the challenges of the system. We were also looking at interpersonal effectiveness, and we said that in order to communicate with your masks on, there is no smile that will be visible to the customer. But can you show that through your gesture? Can you show that through your body language? Can you show that through your voice and tonality? Those were things that we focused upon, and we really got them thinking on these lines, because wearing a mask and really managing to communicate was something difficult. Many of our customers actually spoke to us, and they said that it's very difficult to understand what that person is saying when he is putting on the mask. And we had to really train our people. Firstly, we had to ask them to put the right mask, because if you don't have the right mask, you may face difficulty in breathing or talking, or suffocation can happen to you. So that is the first thing that we said, that needs to be understood. Then we standardized our masks. We said, the stores require some amount of standardization. So why don't we all wear the same kind of masks rather than having different masks of different colors and creating chaos and confusion for everyone. So those are the kind of, standardizations that we followed. We created our new SOPs for each and every element, and started working on those. So when it came to behavioral competencies, this is what we did. In the functional competency space, we looked at retaining all of them, but again, looking at the process and how it can be comforting for the customers. So we looked at selling process, which was more comforting in nature, rather than being a little more aggressive, which was there in the pre-COVID era. And it was important for us to adapt to some of the new mediums to leverage sales and opportunities. And if you look at product knowledge, it was all about the engagement that we could bring. And our people were engaging with customers on WhatsApp. They were trying to engage with them through the new tools that we had given them. So we prepared a lot of videos for them to share with customers, so that it becomes easy. So while you are at the shop, you come and I explain certain things to you. But when you are not coming to my store, how do I explain certain things to you? So I entice you through some videos that we made. So my content team, must have been engaged in this whole process and has been continuously churning out videos, so that we engage with our customers on a regular basis and get them going. And I must share this with you, that our sell-through improved drastically because of such initiatives. It was really remarkable to note that everything that we did has considerably paid off. This month in particular has been phenomenally great. Diwali and Dhanteras was record sales for us. We were talking about recovery all these while, but this November was absolutely fabulous. We saw double-digit growth for watches, for jewelry, for eyewear, and jewelry managed to finish their monthly target on the 14th or 15th of this month. So that was quite remarkable. So those were the kind of impactful changes that was visible. And as they say, if you want to measure the effectiveness of your training, you really need to be observant, and you really need to look at some of the results that you are focusing on. While there are, what do you call, pent-up demands emerging from the customer side for having tied them at their houses, but it's important also to see how they are handled at the store and what sort of experience you are giving. So whether your customer complaints are coming down, or whether they are able to engage and get what they want, whether your NPS scores are going up. So those are, ways and means of checking whether or not you are effective. And I must share this also with you, that our NPS scores have looked up phenomenally. So from a 62 odd score, we have reached closer to 70 now as a company. So that's a wonderful, wonderful, score that we have achieved, all during the post-COVID era. It was also important for us to see what are the new things that we need to do. And in that space, we realized that digital was something where we wanted to focus and drive our, energies towards making everyone digital savvy. And we realized that most of our folks, don't have proper internet connections. They don't have proper phones. So how do we get them going? And it was important for us to teach them how to unmute, how to mute, how to log into a session, how not to disturb others. So there are many, many things that we had to do. And those were, the efforts that we put in to ensure that they understood what needs to be done. It was also important, like what I was telling you earlier on, that some of our trainers also needed to be trained on these aspects, because when it came to online, we were kind of discouraging them to do online sessions till about last year. And this year, it became the norm, because they had to really work on online and virtual, and they had to really change some of the things that we were used to. So all the classroom modules got modified to virtual training modules. So that was a huge task, because the way in which you do icebreakers in a classroom is very different when it comes to doing an icebreaking session virtually. And we also realized that you can't have a very large size. You have to have not more than 20 people in a session. And you have to constantly engage those guys with questions. You have to have thoughtful provocations. You have to have polls. You have to have quizzes. And that's how you get them to, involve themselves completely. So it was like, drawing a picture to depict yourself and talking about it. It was more like storytelling. When somebody tells you a story, how do you tell that story in a very impactful manner so that it remains in your mind and you don't tend to forget that for the rest of your life? So that was the kind of training that we did for our folks, and it was quite useful. We were consistently monitoring. We got into training audits, and through that we realized that some of our folks picked up this thing faster than others. And those guys became the role models. We leveraged them. We asked them to conduct a few more sessions for the rest of the guys. And by virtue of which, today I can tell you that all my folks are quite capable of delivering anything virtually. So that's how we moved. And that was the space of, effective communication. And how do you do that? And how do you build that in the virtual space for all our people? So in order to reimagine the learning process, we had to look at, the practices that we were following in the pre-COVID era. And then we had to, really redesign this whole thing. So if you look at the processes, we had induction, new store, existing store, refreshers, new launches, process trainings, assessments, feedback, store observation, coaching, behavioral sales. And the word that you see, LC, is learning champions. So these are in-store trainers that we have created for our stores. And we have over 1,000 in-store trainers for the jewelry division and around 600 for the watches division currently. And they are our hands and legs when it comes to training across, our stores. And remember one thing, that almost 90% of our stores are franchisee stores. So it's very important to have ownership built in for the stores to self-sustain, rather than you going behind and getting issues time and again. So in order to standardize the whole thing, you have to develop ownership, and the LC program in a way has managed to develop that. And for those of you who are going to see what NHRD is showcasing on the 27th and 28th, we have been shortlisted for the LC program. And that is one initiative that we are showcasing. So if you want to know more about that, you please attend and get going to see what we are doing in that space. It was also important for us to look at some of the challenges. So we identified, that when it comes to classroom sessions, there will be no classroom sessions at all for this year. Fear of proximity is certainly there. Travel is restricted. Security issues are there. Connectivity challenges are there. So we looked at all these challenges, and then we said that how could we design something? So like what I said, the impact happened when we had people in smaller groups, and creating small groups and cascading through our learning champions and super champs. Similarly, we looked at micro learning for our folks. So bit-sized learning, fewer topics, fewer training hours, extended days. Those were the kind of changes that we brought into our learning process. We also had a pre-read culture that needed to be developed, because I told you that we were engaging SMEs, and when an SME session would happen, in order to follow that, you had to go through a few things that has happened either with the company. We were also creating case studies and role plays for people to be prepared well beforehand, before the session started. We've also looked at quizzes, on-the-job training, through LCs and super champs. We said that it has to be monitored at a store level rather than, we doing it through our trainers. And we also said that we need to enhance our super champs for watches for all the stores. So currently we have 600 odd super champs who are in-store trainers. And in all probability, we will, try to create more and more in that space to leverage training a lot better than what we have now. So that's about it from me. I think I have managed to cover most of the things that we have done and the initiatives that we have taken. In all, the key focus areas for us was capability and readiness for the transition to online. It was all about, platforms which were enabling the remote learning, and the learning processes and design, that needed to be created was definitely imparted in the whole journey. So now I'm open for questions. Thank you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very succinctly put, and we have been receiving a lot of requests. If we could share your presentation, I said I'll get back to them. So I believe we are like just 4 minutes short, but I'm sure we can accommodate a couple of questions. Yes. So there's one question which was risen, sir. So there was a slide which spoke about the internal view for customers, where you were talking about RBH, RBM, ABM models.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you share a little more in detail about what these RBH, RBM models were, and also looking at how home delivery has become an probable way forward option. There's also this concept of remote worker support. So is that also a possibility in the near future?
Yeah. See, many things are happening in the remote space currently, and it's important to understand, the user who's going to use some of the things that you do. So you have to think like that person for whom you're creating this. So that is one important thing for us. So he or she is the stakeholder, and you have to think like them when you are creating any content. Going back to your point on RBH, RBM, they are the regional folks who run our regions, okay? And they are more, ear and eyes on the ground for us. So when you reach out to them, you can seek out, inputs on how a customer is behaving, or what is the mindset of store teams, or what are the things that we could focus on, and what are the challenges that they see in running their own businesses. So those were the kind of inputs that we were trying to build. So for each of our stakeholders, we had specific sessions. So I had blocked time with, we have, if you look at our structure, ours is a regional structure. So we have a regional business head. The regional business head actually manages all the businesses for Titan. So we have, watches, we have jewelry, we have eyewear, we have saris, we have perfumes and accessories. So all of this constitute to our business, and a regional business head is a profit center head for us. Okay. And he or she has a good overview of how the region is responding to some of the things which we do. And they are also able to give us inputs on what they require when it comes to the training needs. So that's one of the reasons why we went to these stakeholders and we spoke to them. And the RBMs are the guys who manage the respective divisions. So you have an RBM for, watches, you have an RBM for, jewelry, we have an RBM for eyewear, we have an RBM for saris. So these are the guys who report into the RBH, and they in a way are able to relate to something which is very close to their respective businesses. So if they have a point, then that becomes important for us to consider for their respective businesses as well. And similarly, ABMs are the guys who manage the stores. So they have a fair idea of, how a store staff is responding to this crisis, or what is going on in their psyche, or what are the things that we need to do immediately. So that's how, we actioned some of the things when we were doing the research. I hope I have answered your question, Anusha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Moving on to one more question, which we can take from Mr. Vijay Kumar, BHEL. He's saying that Titan share price bounced back within 6 months. So, what is the expected price by the end of this fiscal year, considering he has Titan in his portfolio? Would you like to take that up?
I can't tell you what is the expected price. Okay, I can only tell you that we are doing well, and if you look at the performance of Titan, and I must give you one tip, okay, which is related to beta. I don't know how many of you know beta. Beta is a coefficient which is given to the amount of risk that you have on a script. So when you're buying a script, you look at the beta of the company, and then you decide the volatility that it presents. So in the case of Titan, the beta is at 1.35, which is much lesser than 1.5. And they say that anything which is between 1 to 1.5 is a good beta, and you can risk your money. But at the same time, there is something called, CAPM. I don't know whether all of you know that. It's a way in which your capital works. Okay, so there is a base rate of return that you expect from the market, and the current base rate of return is say 5%, because banks give you anywhere between 4% to 6%. That's the base interest that you get, right? And in order to invest in a company like Titan, there is a risk interest also that is associated with investment, which is hovering around 6%. So normally what they do for the capital annualization, you add your base return to the risk return. So 5 is added to 6 multiplied by beta. So if you multiply 6 into 1.35, it becomes around 8.1 or so. And then you add to 5, then you expect a minimum return of 13%. So if you get 13 to 14% in a year from Titan script, then it's worthwhile investing. Okay, so I would consider that you do that maths for all investments going forward. And that will really help you in understanding, because it's not about the price. And scripts, generally they say that when you are investing in the share market, it has to be long term, and you have to understand and invest continuously. If you speak to some of the experienced guys, and I have had the opportunity to speak to Rakesh Junjunwala, who is the biggest investor in Titan, and he will tell you that Titan is the best script to invest. So you have to just read about his inputs on the share prices. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. Before we close the session, there's one more question which everybody has been asking. So, brilliant work on the models that Titan has been able to come up with, amidst this pandemic. So we see that there has been, like you said, from 0% webinar sessions and 0% web sessions and virtual sessions that you've been doing in FY20. FY21 has been quite the opposite. Like we've moved completely digital. So everybody's talking about how are we actually measuring the effectiveness of this particular training programs that we've been doing all digitally in Titan.
Yeah. See, more than we measuring the effectiveness, it's the business which needs to tell you, whether you are meeting their expectations. That's very, very important. There is a KP model of measuring training effectiveness. We are all aware of that, right? So it starts with your reaction, then learning, and then the behavioral change, and then the impact that it generates, and then it goes on with the ROI. In our case, whatever programs we have done, we have looked at certain objectives like sell through. We have looked at customer satisfaction scores going up. We have looked at mystery audit scores going up. So if you look at some of these measures which are tangible and which are measurable, then it becomes easy for you to assess the impact of training. One day you don't train and people come back to you saying, "Arey, kya hua? This has not happened." Then you really know that you are showing an impact. Okay, so it depends on what sort of reaction you see from your stakeholders. If you regularly measure what you can do, which is in your control, I think that will give you a measure. But on the other hand, it's also important to involve your stakeholders in the whole process so that they give you the matrices and tell you that, yes, it has impacted. Very recently, I'll give you an example. For the NHRD, conference that's going to happen on the 27th and 28th, we were trying to get, stakeholder feedback on our Learning Champions program. And I was very surprised because all this while, this sort of data was not shared with us. But when we asked this, the business was candid enough to share the last 3 years data. And they showed that all the places where we had learning champions and we could, focus on bedding, the results were dramatic. And they attributed the whole thing to the kind of focused trainings that we were doing. And that was a huge star on our shoulders. So I leave it to you guys to decide how you want to measure your effectiveness. Yeah.
Congratulations on that, sir. All right. As we come to the end of the session where you've spoken great about unleashing potential in new normal, I would request our executive committee member, Mr. Bhuvnesh, who works with Eli Lilly, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anusha. It was indeed a wonderful session. Thank you, Sabharatnam sir, for sharing a lot of information. And it did bring a lot of memories in me when you spoke about Mr. Harish Bhatt. It brought me memories of my internship when I did it with Titan way back 10, 12 years back. And how especially the retail division was being felicitated at that time with your Idea Plus initiatives. And the way you spoke about how you collected data when you had to move into the new normal, and about how your stock prices are calculated. So all of that was really, really wonderful. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your schedule and addressing us. Big thank you to Mr. Shankar, our Vice President, for making this session happen as the lead organizer, and Mr. Murthy, our President, for bringing this session to life, and our executive committee members for their hard work as always. Last but not the least, the participants who have attended this session and HODs and making this session a huge success. And we will continue to add more value to our members by conducting more sessions like these. And it has been a pleasure listening to you, sir. And we'll definitely have you in one of our sessions when we go back to the old normal, which is not virtual.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anusha, that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhuvnesh. Thank you, Mr. Ratnam. It's been great listening to you. All the participants who've been asking for the presentation, please drop a mail to nhrdahoster@gmail.com. We'll respond to your queries. And any